Hi, I'm Dr. Jim Siebert. It's time for our daily outlook in the tropics. Now, we're talking about the Gulf of Mexico mainly today again, but nothing's going on in the Gulf right now. So we're still talking days away. It's going to be early next week when we start to see the issues. But as we take a bigger look across the tropics, so we still have basically three things that are brewing out in the tropics, and the most concern for us is obviously the one that is moving into the Caribbean. So here's a closer look at this. Now, if you look very carefully, there is not a closed circulation at this point. This is a tropical wave. But as it continues to push across the Caribbean, once we get to about the weekend, it's going to start to spin, would be probably the best way of describing it. So right now there is no organization to this, and that's a bad thing for computer models, because the computer models want to center on one spot where the circulation of the low is. This doesn't have that. And so they have to kind of estimate that. And that's one of the reasons why when we look at long-range forecasting, like for this, because we think it'll get to the Gulf and come to us, or when I say us, like the Texas coast, South Texas coast, by about Tuesday. So there's a lot of space in between here where it doesn't have a closed circulation to look at. So once we start to see that, the models do better and better. And at this point, there's still some question marks. Now, however, our modeling is a lot better now than it used to be. So we have a much better idea what's going to happen down the road, even before it happens. So let's look at currently. We've got our high that's still here, so nothing is happening locally. You see some instability off the East Coast. You see the Bahamas getting some rain, but nothing really that big at the moment. So back to these two things. Now, I'm not even going to worry that much about this one to the south, because you can see it's already curving. The one up here does have a pretty good chance, 70% chance in the next 5 days. This could be our next named storm. We'll get to the names here a little bit later on, but that's also going to be turning to the right. So obviously the only thing of concern right now is here. Now we do have an X, so this would be the center, basically the center of the low, even though it's not that closed, that the models are working off of. But notice that this wave is gonna move here, and then it's gonna see how it kind of curves around towards Cozumel and then into the Gulf? That also kind of tells you what we think is going to happen. So you see how it curves this way? It's not curving this way. It doesn't come into the Gulf and it doesn't look like it's pointing this way. It's pointing towards Mexico. All right, that's why at this point we think it's going to be south. We think it's going to be maybe possibly South Texas, but it's going to come into the Gulf this way and then maybe take a little bit of a northerly turn. So 60% in the next 5 days of it becoming something. So we got a ways to go. So let's take a look at the American GFS model. It has been the most consistent as of late for the last several days, so I want to focus on this. Here's our tropical wave right here. As we go for today, let's put this forward. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, there we go. Closed low. Do you see you got this little circle? That's where the closed low, somewhere in that vicinity. The more to the south, the better for us, I'll be honest with you. And then notice as it comes across, notice the arrows. Notice the arrows. Watch the arrows. That's important. Notice they don't take a right-hand turn to make it go straight north. It's going to be more to the west. So this is Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Now, it is expected to turn more to the north, but this has been pretty consistent that it would still be south of us. Now, obviously, it's close enough that it's of concern to us that we're going to watch this very, very closely. But I don't have any indications that this is going to come more to the north. If anything, I think it might go more to the south, because the Bermuda high is going to start to come back in. And if it comes back just a little bit faster, I think it would happen that way. But at this point anyway, so this is Monday. Now look at this. Either a tropical storm, the way things have been going, it would not surprise me if it became a hurricane. What does that mean for us up here? Well, if this holds true, this means that we would see elevated tides, maybe even a little bit of storm surge would be a possibility. Definitely we would see some rain. The outer bands, as far as the wind, it wouldn't be so much of a windstorm for us, but we'd have some breezy conditions here. And that would be about it. Now, the rainfall would be probably the most significant thing. But again, we're talking about outer rain bands. And this is not expected to stall, which is also important. As long as it keeps going, that's not going to be a problem. So this is really the most likely scenario right now that we're looking at. By the way, if we're looking at names, it'd be either Ida or Julian, depending on what happens out there into the Atlantic, if you're keeping score with the names. So we've already had Henri. And let's talk about what's going to happen between now and then. What should you be doing? First of all, don't overreact to this, okay? We have a long way to go with these models. I don't get overly excited on the plus or the negative when I see these things. I look at it and say, okay. As we get closer to a closed circulation, then we'll start to get more modeling. We'll be able to handle that. We'll get a spaghetti plot, and we'll start looking at that. So we just analyze it and prepare. Models are going to change. The solution that we have right now is going to change one way or the other, but our confidence is beginning to grow in the fact that we think it is going to be south of the Houston area. So we just have to watch this and see. And it's kind of painful, and what I really don't want is misinformation like we see on social media, on the internet sometimes, okay? We have more questions than answers right now, but right now our confidence is growing that it will be more to the south. But that doesn't mean it's going to happen. It just means the confidence is growing in that direction, if that makes sense. So what's going to happen now, the high pressure that we've been seeing is going to move away. Now, we're going to begin to see some showers once we certainly get to Friday, to Thursday, Friday, Saturday. That rain is tropical moisture from the northern Gulf, has nothing to do with that area of low pressure. By Saturday, notice we start to see the circulations coming in down here. Okay, so the rain that we're talking about at the end of the week, nothing to do with that tropical low. Our rain from that would be Monday, Tuesday, is in that time frame. And again, we're talking like a week down the road, which is a little bit too far to really give you exact what's going to happen. So again, we're going to watch this, we're going to monitor it, but that's how things are kind of shaking out, at least at this point anyway. So let's stay tuned. We have the next model runs come down about every 4 hours or so, and we will continue to update as conditions warrant. And at this point, we'll just watch it, and our confidence will start to grow one way or the other. We'll talk to you soon.